Hey, welcome back everyone. Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics, and today's video I want to walk you through doing a couple thumbnails. So my previous video was about thumbnails, and then it made me kind of think of this one. This is an exercise that I do to kind of warm up for really digital painting. So the other one was like thumbnailing for comic art. This one is thumbnailing for digital painting. And some digital paintings I just jump in and start painting. Most of them I probably do. Which again isn't always the greatest way. You're not always going to get the best out of your work. You're generally going to always do a bit better if you thumbnail the work. One thing that I can say about this type of thumbnailing that is very important is that it allows me to get better or hone my ability and see into something that I otherwise struggle with. One of the things that I struggle with, and I do not know why, but it's always been my Achilles heel, is like dragons. Like I love dragons. I think dragons are awesome, but I don't really paint the best dragons. They lack something. So what I like to do here is if I jump in to do some dragons or something, let me pick a solid brush. So as I'm yapping here, let's just take this one. So what I'll do is I'll thumbnail some concepts. And one of the things that I like to do, I always struggle with the heads the most. So I'll thumbnail a profile of the heads just to get kind of the mental gears turning. Let me make sure this is more of a solid. I don't want this to look painterly. And I'll talk to you about that. So it's kind of like an inking brush. Keep in mind too, if you don't like working on a bright white canvas, which you really shouldn't. I guess it's not as good for your eyes or whatever. So let's just go ahead and drop in some kind of tone. And I also like to zoom up to where it takes up the whole screen there. And let's see, on another layer. Okay, so what I like to do here is draw in a base shape. Okay, so let me say that this is like the brow of the dragon, the snout, the nose. Oop. Sensitivity on the brush is way up. Let me scale this puppy down. So this is like the nose or something. And I'm just going to start with anything. I'm not going to worry too much about this being, a really great profile of a dragon. What I like to do is just kind of get started. So maybe there's these horns that come back, something like this. It's probably going to look pretty strange at first. But what I do is I start to cut in and out of this shape. Okay, so that's why I like working with silhouettes, because you basically get this kind of neat effect by cutting in and out of the shape, and I'll show you that here in a second. So maybe the head comes back further, something like this, and this almost looks like more of an animated, friendly dragon, cartoony, kind of happy-go-lucky. Maybe Puff the Magic Dragon. You kind of wonder why he's so happy, but then again, it is in his name. It makes total sense. But yeah, so like, if you just kind of work into these details, and I start to add these little segments even. It's just they're kind of like texture, but just trying to add in these little details to say, okay, what if the brow came up like this? And he's got all these little bumps here and there. So I add in these tiny little details, and then I'll take and I'll make the eraser the same brush. So which one was it? I can't remember what brush. I think it was this fluid inker. Or something that's at least solid like that, and then I'll cut into the shape as well. So maybe I just take and add little segments to the horn here, whatever. You can get as detailed as you need to. In the beginning, I don't worry too awfully much about things I'm showing you right now, but I do like to get in a little bit of detail, and it doesn't need to be very advanced. So let's say something like this. Here's our first little thumbnail. And then from here, what I do is I just try to create variation. So I'll create another layer, and I'll do another one, and then I will try to mix it up. I might even draw this one in the other direction. I can always flip it back and forth, obviously. But what I tend to do here is it allows me to look by comparison and go, okay, well, I like the first one. It was okay, but it did look too like friendly, or maybe, I mean, depending on how you paint it, it could look aggressive, I guess, but it just didn't look as strong. You can think about the features of these dragons. So if I give them this over tip of the lip or beak, I guess, it looks more bird-like. So something like that. It's really amazing how much information you can convey in just a silhouette and just a profile. And then from here you can take this and paint away. So maybe in another video or maybe I'll do one in the next video. I don't know. I'll paint through it and show you how you can take this silhouette and actually turn it to a full rendered painting. But it's not. I don't think it's really so much about that as much as it's about experimenting and learning. I don't know why I'm putting this type of noggin on this one. This one's looking more strange than the first. It doesn't even look like a dragon, I don't think. But what we could do there, maybe we add some spikes that come up and back. But that almost looks like a bird, like kind of feather. These are looking very bird-like. One of the things that I think is kind of interesting and fun about dragons is the fact that you can incorporate so many different things, so many different animals. So they're definitely a combination of animals, right? Reptiles, birds, dinosaurs, whatever you can really kind of pull together. And then I think some of the coolest dragons tend to be some of my favorite dragon artists are obviously my buddy Chris Scalf, and he's on my featured channels list. And then Sandara from DeviantArt. Actually, I'll probably link to both of those artists in the description box. And just some amazing, amazing takes on dragons. And one of the things I like is that, when you see different variations of the way that people perceive them, they'll mix in different components. And it's really just kind of a neat, imaginative process. So we'll call this our next one, even though this one I think is still not the direction that I was trying to take, but whatever, it's still food for thought. So now we'll take this one. Let's just go ahead and we'll leave it flipped. It's not a big deal. Whoa. Command T, hold Shift, and there's the next one. Let's go ahead and do another one, and I'm going to try to come up with something a bit more aggressive looking and strong. I don't know. So let me do this. Let me start with the main portion of the head. And let me block in a very, almost like I had a pit bull back in the day, or not back in the day, just not so long ago really, but a few years ago. And he had this amazing, snout, just this tough look to the head. It was about like this. It's going to make me miss my puppy dog. All right, so yeah, but something like that is obviously a lot stronger looking than this beak-like look, I think anyways. I guess it's a matter of preference. And then, he had a very strong neck, so it came down like this. He was like all neck. This dog was a beast. I should actually do a portrait of him. I miss him. He was a great dog. But anyways, so now from here we can add in some, I don't know. So I don't want to just go spikes, but I mean that's really what you get. Or you get these kind of like fin-like looking ears. You see that a lot, so maybe we can start there. I don't know if that'll help this or not, but the neat thing is too, when you're drawing like this, if you draw it all in one shape, it's real easy to go back. You can hit Command Z and Command Alt Z a couple times. So you try to like get those in one big shape, and you'll see a lot of artists will actually use the Lasso Tool as well, which is probably a touch more productive, if not a lot more productive. So you want to mix that in as well, because even that kind of gave a nice little randomized shape in there. I don't know if I like that look. Let me see with let's try that again with a few of these little spikes here. So now I'm just grabbing the paint bucket tool. Obviously you get that little bit of artifact there. You gotta fix as you go. I don't like that. Let me see. Let me go back to drawing it out here. Like that. There's some spikes up on the snout. I do like when they have this spike on the chin too. I always think that looks kind of cool. And you can mess around with things like underbites versus overbites, things like that. Just changing little bits of the shape as you go. So different angles, different cuts, things like that. I don't like how this brush does this. You can see the brush tip's kind of awkward. I try to create these weird brushes just so I get some variation in the way that they create the effect. So something like this. And you got to imagine past just the silhouette, right? You're looking at this silhouette and going, well, this doesn't look very interesting. But the funny thing is, I'm actually imagining all these details inside as well. I don't know if that just comes with practice or what, or just something that I do, but it's like a Rorschach test, so you want to imagine kind of intensely about what else would be in here. Maybe another little spike over here. And seeing, the only bad thing though, if you notice when I added that spike, it eliminated this kind of ear-like shape or whatever this, it changed it. But I'm wondering if I want to get rid of that now. Let me see. So I'm going to cut back in with the eraser. And you can really you could do some negative drawing if you wanted to detail this. You could place an eye and things like that. Start figuring out some teeth kind of designs. But I don't want to get this about detail. I really don't. Like, again, I might do another video where I detail this out. I really want you to just focus on the silhouette, because I think this is a great way to warm up and study. And it's in a reasonable amount of time. It's not taking me an absorbent amount of time to do this, and I'm yapping while I do it. So hopefully you could see the benefit here, where you can really log in a lot of different designs and kind of get that imagination going. I think that's the most important part about thumbnailing, is it gets your imagination going. So, everybody always talks about, well, I can't get inspired, and sometimes I just don't feel like creating, and I don't make I don't make exceptional art all the time. And I think it goes back to stuff like this, where you just need to study and change your perspective a little bit, get out of any kind of mental rut, and just have fun with it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and time lapse the next part. I'll do 3 more, and then that way you can see the variation. But again, I'm going to utilize what's here on the page to kind of aid me in the process of illustrating the next 3 and try to vary it up. I don't know that I'll succeed in that, but you're about to find out. So with that, let's move on. Okay, so there you have it, folks. 6 different dragon head thumbnails, quick concepts that I was able to do in a reasonable amount of time, and it allowed me to kind of imagine and start to get a little bit more confident. As you can see towards the end, I opened up the mouth of the dragon, gave him a pretty sweet tongue, so he can taste his food, obviously, and just got warmed up, basically ready to paint either these or utilize these just really for reference and start painting something else. But the other neat thing about these, I'll leave you with this one final tip, and we'll bring this one to a close. You can take any one of these and you can align them over top and kind of change the existing silhouette of what's there. So you really want to make good use of these, and just experiment often, and generally that's going to get your imagination going. So if you find yourself kind of stagnating and doing the same old, this can be a pretty fun exercise to help you get out of that rut, I think. So I would love to know what you think in the comment section below, and I always appreciate the support of the channel. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and share the work if you don't mind. So as always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.